all you.
Very good, thank you.
Any water, you good?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Division I Pre-National Championship press conference featuring the Iowa Hawkeyes. We'll hear an opening statement from Coach and then follow up with questions. As a reminder, please raise your hand high so that we're able to see you. And once called upon, please state your name and affiliation. Coach, we'll begin with that opening statement.
Well, I know a lot of people lost a lot of money in Vegas and elsewhere last night. Not a lot of people betting on the Hawkeyes. So, we're just going to keep believing. We have one more game to our season. Our team was just thrilled that we get to spend 2 more days together. Honestly, I think that was what they were most excited about. They're playing for a national championship, and they get to spend 2 more days together. And this is such a tight group. And people have asked me, how are you going to get them ready to play this game after last night? And it really isn't hard. We've taken a business-like approach to this every single step of the way, whether it was a Big Ten tournament, whether it was during the season after a big win like Indiana and then going into the Big Ten tournament, whether it was, beating Colorado, it doesn't matter. It's like we turn the next page as a veteran group and they can handle it.
Coach, we're going to start to our left.
Hi, Lisa. Lindsay from USA Today. Caitlin is obviously playing great right now, but what strikes me is she seems to play with a lot of joy. She doesn't seem to get tight. She looks like she's having fun all the time. What is the value of that, especially when you're down and trailing, and how does that rub off on the team and rub off on you?
She loves the game of basketball. It is where she wants to be. It's in a gym, and the bigger the spotlight, the more fun it is for her. I think joy is contagious. I think, our whole team actually plays with that joy, and that's how we practice too. I mean, we always want to lead the Big Ten in high fives, and that's not just during a game. That is during practice. That is during shoot-around. We believe in that, and we feel like this team brings a lot of joy to the people of Iowa, and that is a real honor, to give people happiness that maybe are struggling with things, we go to the Children's Hospital a lot, and those kids over there, when they get to watch that game for 2 hours and they get to cheer for the Iowa Hawkeyes and be happy about a victory, that's almost as good as the win right there.
Coach, we're going to stay to our left in the second row.
Coach Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Two real quick ones. A, how much sleep did you get last night? B, just the status of, the damage and stuff. I know your home is close to kind of the epicenter where everything happened. Everything safe there and as well with your players?
Yeah, there was some really bad tornadoes that went through Iowa City in the Solon area where I live. My favorite Mexican restaurant got its roof taken off, but my house is fine according to my neighbors, so we're happy about that. We're very blessed, and again, a lot of people were without electricity last night, didn't get to see this great game, which is unfortunate, but I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, but my father-in-law used to always tell me you sleep when you're dead, so that's what we'll work on.
We're going to stay to our back on our left-hand side.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN.com. I'm not sure if you saw some comments last night from the South Carolina side. They seemed to take offense to a narrative and words about the game against them being described as a bar fight. And so I'm just wondering, A, if you saw the comments, and B, if you had any reaction to that.
I did not see those comments, and I mean, if you know me, I speak tongue-in-cheek a lot, and I was just saying an analogy of, you got to rebound like you're in a bar fight. That's all. It doesn't say who's fighting, right? But that's fine.
Our next question, Doug.
I've never been in a bar fight, by the way.
Coach Doug Feinberg, the AP. Could you think of a better script than an Iowa kid leading Iowa to potentially its first national championship ever, and then to do it with probably the most eyeballs that have been on women's basketball in a long, long time? I mean, could you imagine this as a coach?
No, but this was her dream. It really was. It was her dream to take us to something that we haven't done in a long, long time, and beyond that. I mean, and when one kid dreams it and everybody else is willing to jump on that train, it's amazing what can happen. But it was, I mean, that's why she wanted to stay in Iowa. She wanted to be close to home so her family could see her play. And she also, wanted to have the opportunity to do something. And she knew that we could develop players. I mean, with Megan Gustafson being the National Player of the Year, coming off of an Elite Eight appearance, those were all really in our favor in helping to get her as well.
John
Right.
Steppe, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Before yesterday's game, how much did it mean to you to get the sweater from Lark Birdsong that belonged to Dr. Grant?
Yeah, there's a story behind that. Dr. Grant hired me. She hired Lark Birdsong, who was our first women's coach. She hired Angie Lee, and she hired Vivian Stringer. So Dr. Grant retired, but I had a strong relationship with Dr. Grant for all these years, and she came to all of our games until she was just too sick to do so. But Lark had a great relationship with Dr. Grant, as we all do, all of her coaches do, and Lark cared for her quite a bit her last couple years of her life, and helped her fulfill some wishes that she wanted. And one of the wishes that Dr. Grant was that she could see me, our team, in a Final Four. And the way that they thought they could do that is by giving a piece of Dr. Grant, which was a sweater that she wore. And if you knew Dr. Grant, she wore these sweaters that were of Scottish wool, quite a bit, V-necks. And so she gave me a yellow one yesterday that Dr. Grant wore. So I passed it around the circle yesterday, let everybody feel it, get a piece of Dr. Grant's DNA.
We're going to stay to our right in the front row.
And Natalie Heverin with the next. I know you grew up playing 6-on-6 and watching Molly Bolin, who was at the game last night. What influence has that and the history of basketball in Iowa had on you and your coaching?
Machine Gun Molly was here? Didn't even know that. I watched her with the Iowa Cornets. Are you kidding? Iowa basketball, I know some people can't understand it, 6-on-6. I mean, I played it. Coach Jensen played it. Coach Fitzgerald played it. It was so much fun. It was a scorer's game. I mean, Coach Jensen scored 105 points in one game. Her average in high school was 66 points a game. It just crazy stuff. But it was really fun, and you really learned how to shoot the ball. You learned how to be an offensive-minded person. Don't ask us about defense, but we could shoot the ball. And so I think that sticks with you a little bit. We still love our offense. I know, I thought we played some pretty good defense last night. Everybody keeps knocking our defense. I thought our defense was pretty good last night. But offense is near and dear to us old 6-on-6ers hearts.
Coach, we're going to shift to our left front row.
Kyle Huseman, Hawker Report. Just want to get your thoughts on LSU. They've got Angel Reese, a player that you guys are familiar with from her time at Maryland. Just interested in your thoughts on what they do well offensively, and then they're also a very good defensive team.
Excellent at both. I feel like, again, we're playing South Carolina almost with a little bit better shooters. Angel Reese is a fabulous basketball player, and obviously we coached against her when she was at Maryland. We coached against Poole when she was at Ohio State. So we do have some familiarity with these players. Angel just seems to be playing a little bit more free at LSU. I mean, averaging 23 points a game. She shoots the ball incredibly well, but 6.5 offensive rebounds. I mean, we're going against another rebounding monster team. They're just incredibly good at that. So, we have our work cut out for us, but we feel like it's a lot like playing South Carolina.
Far back on our left-hand side.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. Defensively last night, what did you like most about how your team executed on that side of the court? And I have one more quick one after this.
I just like how they stuck to the game plan no matter what. Even if they made a three here or there, they didn't panic. They tried their hardest at boxing out, but Cordoza just too hard to box out. And I told Addie O'Grady, get your volleyball girl on right now because she was a pretty good volleyball player. But I think I liked that. I think I liked that they just believed in the game plan. They stuck to it. I thought Gabby Marshall was so good. Zia Cook had 18 the first half. She had 6 the second half. I thought McKenna Warnock, Kate Martin, what they do for us defensively, a lot of attention obviously goes to Caitlin's offense, but those guys' defense, they were tough.
And with Caitlin Clark, from the time she stepped on campus and put on that Iowa uniform her freshman year and averaged 27 points, it's not like she just came upon the scene yesterday and had a 41-point performance, but she has sustained her excellence. How have you seen her game evolve from day one to today?
I think I've just seen more of a trust in her teammates. You know, when she came from high school, a lot of those players, and it's no knock on high school players, but they couldn't, you know, they weren't anticipating her passes and ready for them, ready to catch them, have the hands that a Monica Sonano has, weren't quite ready to shoot. So she didn't have that trust, right? And we had to build that up over time. And obviously it's there now. But yeah, she's been a spectacular offensive player. But her three-point range has increased since she's been at Iowa, and a lot of that has been from the weight room and the job that our strength coach, Coach Alexander, does with our team. And she put on 8 pounds of muscle. I know you can't tell, but she did. She put on 8 pounds of muscle this summer, and that's also helped her sustain some of the physicalness that she sees every day.
We have a question in the back.
Mitch Vick, KGAN. You and Jan together for 23 years, planting the seeds of hope when you come over from Drake. This was part of the dream, I'm sure, to be here with a best friend. And, you know, how many people have made plans with best friends and roads eventually split, to stay the path the whole time and be here with her and that friendship. Have you got a chance to reflect on that, and what does that mean to everybody staying the course?
Yeah, and it's also Jenny Fitzgerald. She came with us. She and Jan started the same year. So I've coached with both of them just as long. And Jenny, you know, Jan is unbelievable with our posts. Jenny is unbelievable with our scouts. She does such a great job breaking down film. And, you know, this year we had a lapse where I had a coach that was out 2 months with having a baby, and Abby Stamp had a baby. And Coach Fitzgerald, I'm lucky enough that I have a person with 30 years of Division I coaching experience that could step into that role and actually coach for that time. It was seamless, the transition. So all the three of us have really, we call ourselves the Three Amigos. We've been together a long time, and it's not the Three Stooges, it's the Three Amigos, okay? We have been together a long time, and this was definitely a dream, and it feels very good to have it come to reality.
We're staying in our back on the right-hand side.
Hey, Lisa. Kareem Copeland from the Washington Post. I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about yourself. You put South Carolina in some positions yesterday that few teams have been able to. So I'm curious, how do you think you've grown as a coach, you know, throughout the season and continued throughout this run?
You know, I'm not sure if I'm much different as a coach, honestly, from, I don't know. I think I've coached the same way for a lot of years. But when you get some super talent, right, you know, that makes a difference. It makes an incredible difference. So I think I'm the same person. I have really pretty much run a lot of the same offensive philosophy. You know, I don't really think that I have changed that much. I'm pretty ordinary and just blessed with some really great talent.
Coach, we're going to stay on our right-hand side, the front row.
Susan Harmon, HawkFanatic.com. Your team yesterday just showed enormous poise through the whole game. How did it get to that point? I mean, the same thing I think you could say in the Louisville game, but through the course of the season, how did they solidify and mature to the point where nothing seemed to bother them yesterday?
Yeah, you know, we led that game for almost 36 minutes yesterday. And, you know, when it got close, honestly, I did not see any hesitation in their eyes. And what Kate Martin was saying to the team between the third and the fourth quarter was, keep the gas on. Let's keep going. Let's not, you know, play not to lose, but let's play to win. And I thought the team did that. Maybe it was because we never had a significant lead, you know, that we were not able to play like that, really. But honestly, this team did not waver in their belief ever during that game.
Going on our left-hand side in the green.
Adam Jacoby, Rivals.com. You've talked about maintaining the same approach throughout this tournament. Kate Martin said a lot about the power of visualization. Despite all that mental preparation you try to do ahead of time, what's something that's really surprised you about the run that you've made this far?
What has surprised me? Honestly, we believed. We really did. So, I know you guys were surprised we beat South Carolina, and we were happy that we were able to, but we weren't surprised. So I don't know. I guess what would surprise me the most is the unbelievable Iowa support we've had here and how many fans that we've turned into Iowa Hawkeye fans. When you can't even do an ESPN interview at the end because it's so loud with people chanting, "Let's go Hawks" in this arena, that's pretty neat. People didn't fly here. They got in their cars and they drove here. And that's a long drive. And it's been like that everywhere we've been. When we had, 10,000 fans in Minneapolis, a 5-hour drive away. We had people in Seattle. And we have people here in Dallas. So I guess what surprises me the absolute most is the level of love that the Iowa Hawkeye fans, commit to this team.
We're staying in our left-hand side in the front.
Chloe Peterson, Daily Iowan. The players always talk about why not us. Said you kind of started that mentality. How did that start?
I just said it one day. It's just basically, why not us? We're here. I think it's, it's kind of self-explanatory. Why can't we be that person? I always talk about people have these dreams and they get so close to their dreams and they quit. They don't know how close they are, right? You don't know how close you are to finishing, you probably know how close you are to finishing the marathon when you hit the wall, but there's so many times like you're about to get that sale or you're about to get something and you just give up. And so we talk a lot about that. Like, we're not giving up. Just keep going. Keep going. Why not us? Why not us be the people that are at the top of the ladder at the end?
Our front row to the right.
Rowan Shaberg with The Next. Last night I saw a lot of Iowa fans, here obviously, and I even saw some Virginia Tech fans who started, cheering for you all after their game. What is it about your team and just the, culture that you have that you think attracts fans in that way?
Well, I just think our team is personal. They're not scared to show their human side. They play with a joy. They play with teamwork. They celebrate each other. They build each other up. It's like, it's the American dream, right? Like everybody wants to be a part of a team that really loves each other and cares about each other. And I think you can see that in our team by the way we play.
Lisa, Howard Magdal at The Next. Good to see you. I'm sort of a two-parter. You talked last night about how that game was, maybe the highlight, the number one of your career where you've had so much NAIA Final Fours, right up through Missouri Valley, right to the present. And I just wonder two parts. One, whether you've stopped to think about what tomorrow is going to be like within the context of that career you've had, and also just as an Iowa native, what it means for you to be the one doing this at this moment.
Yeah, I'm proud, to be an Iowa girl leading the University of Iowa. I grew up 30 minutes from campus. I didn't go to the University of Iowa. I didn't get a scholarship offer in the 70s there. Both my brothers went to Iowa. My kids, both my daughters have went through the University of Iowa. So it means a lot for me as an Iowan to represent our state. Iowans are, we're proud of our state. We believe we feed the world. We really do. We believe in hard work. We believe in honesty and integrity. And I want that to shine through with my team because I want my team to have the values of what we represent back home. As far as the magnitude of tomorrow's game, no, I haven't really given it much thought yet. It's LSU on my scout, and I'm trying to get ready for it.
Coach, to our left on the second row.
Hey, Lisa. Chad Leistikow, Des Moines Register. You came into the locker room last night and said, "This is our destiny." And the players have been saying that for a while now. When do you remember feeling that, or thinking, or preaching, or talking that this run is this team's destiny?
I think, if I remember right, it was probably right before the NCAA tournament started because it was just like kind of ironic, some of the things that were happening. Like we have Georgia, we played UCF last year in Carver, so we knew them, and that was a tough game. The Georgia game was a tough game. I don't know that if we wouldn't have scheduled them, and we scheduled UCF, to play in Carver Hawkeye Arena in December, and Florida's coming to Iowa in December, and we were able to play them, and that helped us get ready for that game. There's just been a lot of those type of things. This team is similar to this team, and Colorado was at our place last year, so we had a scout already from them on last year, and just so many weird things have happened that we feel it is destiny.
Hey, Lisa, Lindsay Schnell from USA Today again. Obviously, you want to celebrate that win last night. You want to make sure that people understand a lot of teams don't get to this point, but you got to finish the job, right? If you lose tomorrow, no one's really going to care that you slayed the giant that is South Carolina. How do you find that balance with your team with making sure that they're allowed to enjoy that win, but also understand we still got one more to go?
I have a really smart group, and they understand that. But, if we lose tomorrow, it'll still be a big deal to me that we beat South Carolina and that we played in this game. But, yes, our intent is to go out there and win. And I know that, moving on to the next chapter is so important in preparation. You can't be celebrating last game. It's, we keep talking about, move on to the next one. And, you can't worry about what's in the rearview mirror. You can't worry about the next thing. Be where you are right now. And my team has been where their feet are the whole time. And so that's all I can ask. And I think they'll be where their feet are tomorrow on this championship floor.
Hey, Lisa, Sue Marriott, Big Ten Network. When you've been around this a minute, when you think about that young girl that played at UNI to now, and I want to talk about the game of women's basketball and where it's come, and the fans, the TV ratings that are superseding NBA games. Have you had time to think about that, your role in it, your team's role in it, and what that means?
I think my team has had a role in it. I do. I think people are talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes, obviously talking about Caitlin Clark. And that's so good. It's so good when people are talking about women's basketball or having debates about who's the best player, and it's passionate debates, That's so good for our game. But when I played at UNI, we might have had 200 people in the stands if you count my husband twice, I mean, it just wasn't much. If you might have gotten a paragraph in the back page of the UNI, I can't remember what it was called now. I should know, but I don't. I mean, people just didn't care. People didn't take us seriously. We had one set of practice gear. I wore Brooks tennis shoes. We got one pair for the year. And then my first job, I drove the van, and I had to recruit my husband to drive the other one sometimes. We were telling the story yesterday how we had stopped at a rest stop one time, and I left a player there, Wendy White. And 2 exits later, we realized Wendy wasn't in the van, and we had to spin around and go get her. She was standing there on the side of the highway, so we got her. But, I mean, it was just a different time, I mean, and I'm so glad that I got to grow up during this time. I'm so glad I have a respect for the women that went before me that helped lay the groundwork. People, obviously, Vivian Stringer, Pat Summitt, Tara, Dr. Grant. I'm so thankful, and I know Dr. Grant would be so happy right now if she could be a part of this, and I know she's so thrilled for us. And so, yeah, it's come leaps and bounds. I know Dr. Grant would say it's not still good enough, though, and it probably isn't. We still have work to do, but we're getting there, and I am so glad I got to see what it was because I have an appreciation for it now.
Our back left.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN.com again. You mentioned how great your defense was last night.
Great might be a strong word, but
good.
Okay.
Some of the LSU players just noted the way that you dared their guards to shoot a little bit, and I'm just wondering, without giving away too much of your game plan, if that might have to change a little bit, just considering the way Alexis Morris is playing right now and their ability. And
yeah,
Poole.
They can shoot the ball better, no doubt, and so yeah, we'll have to change things up.
Cheryl Coward, hoopfeet.com. After Caitlin's first game in her first year, you said this is what we expected. And you talked about things that she's done to improve her game. But what has surprised you about what she's done over these years? And also Monica as well, because 18 points against South Carolina is no small feat. What has surprised you about those players?
I am so happy for Monica. Monica was not highly recruited out of high school at all. And And we saw something in her. We saw somebody that would embrace the contact and got down there and sealed and worked really hard on that. And there's a lot of big girls that don't want to be down there, that don't want to embrace the contact. But we run a system where we needed a post like a Megan Gustafson that would embrace that contact, and people that we've had before that. So I don't even think we took a chance on her. We believed in her. And her shot was messed up when she came, and it was bad. Her freshman year, her shot was really messed up, and she'll tell you this. But honestly, it was all of her hard work that between her freshman and sophomore year, she was in the gym doing soft touch over and over and over again, back to the fundamentals. And then, are you kidding? She leads the country in field goal percentage shooting. You know, her junior and senior year, and I think she's in the top 4 right now this year. That is an unbelievable success story, and she did it through her hard work and her belief in Coach Jensen's post-development. So that's pretty cool. Caitlin, where have I seen her grow? What has surprised me? I don't, honestly, don't take your eyes off Caitlin. Nothing surprises me anymore. Honestly, I see it every day in practice. I mean, she practices like she plays. Like, you guys, these are things we see every single day. So it's hard to surprise us right now. What I'm most proud about with her is just her composure on the court, her ability to mission focus. She used to be a little bit of a wild card out there as far as her emotions, and I think she still plays with joy, but she's not letting her emotions get to her in a negative way, where I think she had to learn that a little bit.
On our right-hand side, M.A.
Oh, thanks. Actually, to follow up on that, Coach Bluder, after the NC State loss, I remember Caitlin said, I scored 40 points, but we don't win, and look, we only had 10 assists. That's not who we are. You've mentioned how she's grown about playing with other players, but to me, she's even grown every single game this season. You can see that. Can you talk about a little bit of that progress from her, even from that game against NC State?
I think the Maryland game, it was just so apparent for us. When we lost at Maryland, and they just, they did a box and one on her and just denied her and wouldn't let her touch the ball. And everybody tries to keep the ball out of her hands. Everybody does, But it was different there, and I think then she realized, I really, really need my teammates. I think that she's always known it this year, but I think that was like an example of, wow, I got to really pour into my teammates because they're going to carry us if we want to go far.
We're staying to our right.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. I wanted to follow up on the bar fight thing briefly, if you don't mind. The full quote was complimentary of South Carolina's offensive rebounding. I was wondering if you were a little surprised with the way maybe Dawn took that quote, and was just clarify that there was no ill intent in what you said there.
Yeah, there was absolutely no ill intent. And I know coaches will take things and spin it to try to motivate their team, and I've done that, I'm sure. So be it with that. But yeah, I really meant it as a compliment. Like, you are going to have to fight harder than you've ever fought in your life to get a defensive rebound against this team because they are so good. That's what my intent was.
On our left-hand side in the second row.
Yeah, Coach Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. I know you've been up on the ladder, you've felt the confetti and all that stuff. What have you done, has the team done to visualize, winning a national championship?
I haven't done anything yet. I still have to process that a little bit today and work on that. But we'll come up with something.
On our left-hand side in the black shirt. On our left-hand side in the purple shirt.
Hey, Coach, Matt Trent, WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge. I know you had mentioned Angel Reese's prowess on the offensive boards. Can you just conceptualize how she is just in general rebounding and the challenge it presents tomorrow?
6.5 rebounds a game. That's incredible. Offensive. 16 rebounds total, but 6.5. That's what impresses the heck out of me. It's so hard to guard that because, like you saw last night, you give up three-point plays then too a lot of times. You give up the offensive rebound, they score, you're out of position, you try to contest, you get a foul, three-point play. Worst play in basketball, in my opinion. The old-fashioned three-point play with a foul. We had too many of them last night, but Angel does that. She's able to do that. She's so agile down there. Different type of than Aaliyah Boston, who's, I thought, more physical. I think, Angel's a better ball handler, will bring the ball down the floor, but she's more agile, very hard to guard. We're going to have our work cut out for us for sure.
We're going to take our last question on the right.
Hi, Coach. Rachel Bachman, The Wall Street Journal. If you were an opposing coach game planning to stop Caitlin Clark, what would you do?
Pray.
Thank you so much, Coach, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you.
Caitlin's scheduled to join us at 12:20. As a reminder, while Caitlin's on the dais, the 4 remaining starters are up in the Gentleman Jack room, and those interviews will be held concurrently. A recording of this press conference as well as transcript is available on NCAA's digital hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. It helps if I'm able to see you and raise it high because I'm like going back and forth. Trying to make sure I can get everybody at least one as well as I'm making the way to the room. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Division I Pre-National Championship Press Conference featuring the Iowa Hawkeyes. We are joined today by Caitlin Clark. We are going to start by fielding questions. To our left, you may begin.
Hi, Caitlin. Chad Lice, Dakota, Des Moines Register. We talked in Seattle. You said you felt the calmest you've ever had in your whole life before Louisville. Did you replicate that last night? And how do you do that again tomorrow?
Yeah, I honestly did. You know, I felt very confident in our group and the game plan our coaches put together, and I thought we came out and executed right away. And I think the start of the game was really, really important for us. We showed, you know, we're here to win, we're here to play. We believe we can do it. And you know, Kate Martin starts the game out with 5 consecutive rebounds, and I think that really set the tone there. So, yeah, I think I had that calmness about myself last night. I had a belief in my teammates, and you know, I thought we, you know, played really good basketball, and I have to do the same thing on Sunday. I understand there's only 40 more minutes left in my season, which, it's kind of sad because it's been so much fun, but why not go cut down another net?
We're staying to our left, Caitlin.
Hey, Caitlin, Lindsay with USA Today. There's a lot of little kids in this arena and watching on TV who are falling in love with basketball because of how you play the game, the joy you play with. And I wondered, when you were a little kid, who was that for you? Who did you watch that made you love the game of basketball?
Yeah, I grew up loving basketball, so I watched a ton of players. The Minnesota Lynx team was like my favorite team, Maya Moore, Coach Whalen. So it's really cool now because I got to play against Coach Whalen and very complimentary of my game. But to be honest, I just loved watching basketball. I had a cousin that played at Dowling Catholic where, I went to school and she went on to play at Creighton. So I was her biggest fan too. And, to be honest, I wanted to be around the game as much as I could. I remember my dad took me when Des Moines hosted, a regional site. And I think it was Baylor versus Tennessee. I think it was the last game Pat Summitt ever coached. And Brittany Griner was playing at the time, which was super cool. So to be able to say I got to see the last game Pat Summitt ever coached is like so cool in my home state, in my home city. So I just wanted to be around the game as much as I could. Obviously, I had, college basketball on, pro basketball on, and whenever we were on spring break, we always made sure we were around the TV to watch it, and then I would instantly print off my bracket and make a bracket. So honestly, I just love this game so much. I have ever since I was a young kid, but my favorite player is definitely Maya Moore. She was always my favorite player, and I think I was drawn to her, one, for her scoring ability, but also, she's a tremendous person, and then also she played for the Minnesota Lynx, which is the closest team to Des Moines from where I was from.
We're going to stay on the left-hand side of that back row.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. Caitlin, where do you go mentally to compartmentalize, to stay composed and poised in these big moments?
Yeah, I think the thing for me is, I understand things aren't going to go my way. And I think accepting that, and that's not something I've always had throughout my college career, is, when I haven't gotten fouls called, when I've had turnovers, when I've had missed shots, it's kind of thrown me off my game in a little bit. Excuse me. And I think the physicality is something I've just come to accept at this point in my career. People are holding me. I have scratches, I have bruises, but so does everybody else. You can't complain. At this point in the season, refs aren't going to call it, nor could they every single time down the court. So I think it's just come, with my mental toughness and working on that and just accepting, things aren't going to go your way. That's the game of basketball. So all you got to do is respond, and that's what's going to be best for your team.
We're staying in that back row.
Andrea Adelson with ESPN.com. Some of the LSU players are scouting the game, obviously, from last night, and thought it was, quote, this is their words, disrespectful, the way that you guys played their guards, and they're not going to be able to guard us in the same way because of the way they shoot the ball. So I'm wondering if you have any reaction to the use of the word disrespectful in the way that you guys had guarded South Carolina on the perimeter, and what might have to change against LSU considering they're a better shooting team.
Yeah, I think LSU can shoot the ball a lot better, and I don't think we're not gonna guard LSU the same way we guarded South Carolina. Obviously, with South Carolina, you got to pick your poison. They play two tremendous posts, and if they were gonna beat us, we're gonna let it be by the 3-point line. You just got to pick and choose your battles. We couldn't guard everything. That's the game of basketball. You have a scout, player personnel. It's what are you gonna give up, and that's what we were gonna give up. We had all the respect in the world for South Carolina, and especially their post play. We're a smaller team. We had to go down there and double them, and they still doubled us on offense, on rebounding, and but we never got discouraged. And I think that speaks to this team. Is I know Mon had a few just go right over her head. She tried her best to box out. I'm like, Mon, it's okay. You got to keep your head up. Like, we got this. And yeah, I think it's just confidence and resiliency, but. You just got to pick and choose within a scout. And Coach Bluder is a very good coach about player personnel. We're going to have a different game plan for every single team.
Doug?
Hey, Caitlin, Doug Vonberg, AP. We've talked a lot in the last week about growth of the game and how many eyeballs are watching this and such. I think your tickets tomorrow are going for more than Taylor Swift down the road.
Hey, I'm going to Taylor Swift in June, too. So that's pretty awesome.
Maybe we should bring you on stage.
Hey, maybe so. That'd be cool. I don't know. Hopefully she likes women's basketball. She should stay for the game tomorrow. How about that?
Agreed. Just with what you guys did last night, and the other game was also a really good game, and all that's come with the attention on this game, how would you like to sort of put a final bow on this for the season to maybe help this game grow even more tomorrow with what you do and what this game could bring with a ABC audience and everything that comes with it?
Yeah, I think winning a national championship is how you put a final bow on it. I think that's the best way, but we're going to give everything we have for 40 more minutes. We know that's all we have left of our season. That's all we have left with McKenna and Monica, who have given their heart and soul to this program. And, Amon came back for a 5th year to be in a position like this. And more than anything, they're my best friends, and I'm going to be so sad that I don't get to go back to practice with them. Even though my body hurts, I would give it an arm and a leg for those girls. And, I think it's just a belief we have one another. We might not be the most athletic. We might not be a team full of 5-star athletes, but we have a love for one another that's, always going to be there through the good and the bad. And, we have had plenty of hard moments this season, but that's what makes you great in these moments. So I think, the way to put a bow on this is a national championship, but also exemplifying what women's basketball can be and how fun it is and the joy and the passion that we play with, us and LSU, because I think they do a tremendous job as well, and they bring a lot of excitement and fun to the game. So I think it's just a great matchup for women's basketball in general.
Hi, Caitlin. Howard Mandel with the Nets. Good to see you. Kind of 2 parts to this, jumping off of what Doug asked a little bit. One is, we've covered you obviously in the women's game for a long time, but this has been sort of an order of magnitude more fame, obviously, as this run has happened. And I'm wondering whether there's a moment or moments that's kind of hit home for you that, like, wow, this has really gotten huge. And I just have a follow-up.
Honestly, I don't really think it's hit me yet. I don't think it'll hit me for a couple more weeks. I'm just trying to enjoy every single second of this. But I will say, what I really loved is I saw so many videos of people back in Iowa City, just every single bar just completely packed, screaming about women's basketball. And, that's so cool to see your impact on your university and your state. People love this game. They love this team. And I truly don't think we would be here if it wasn't for our fans, the way they've traveled, at home, at the Big Ten tournament, out in Seattle, but now here. I think people understand, these fans know what women's basketball is. They're not just here to scream because we're here. They're here because they understand the game and how great we play it. That's why they're here, because they can appreciate it. So I think that's the biggest thing and what I've appreciated most about this journey. But it's going to take me a few weeks to, reflect back on everything that's happened. But more than anything, I'm grateful, and, I want to end it with a championship.
And that's just the other part of it. We were talking to Lisa about, being an Iowa product and doing this, and how meaningful is it to be doing this as an Iowa product with an Iowa head coach, and have you thought about just what it's going to be like to head home after this?
Yeah, that's the reason I came here, is to be in this moment right now, because I believed in Coach Bluder. I believed in what she could do. I think the thing that's lost is I get coached hard every single day. Coach Bluder doesn't think I've arrived. I don't think I've arrived. And I want to be coached because I think I can, get that much better. But to be able to do this for a university and a state that, has given so much to you and supported you so much, it means the world. And I know when we get back to Iowa City, hopefully we have cut down another championship net, and I'm sure it'll be wild. But I'm just going to enjoy every single second, because you may never get back to this point, and it's really rare and really hard to be here.
To our right-hand side.
David Eichholt, 24/7 Sports. Caitlin, just for you, how do you kind of balance embracing what you guys accomplished last night, but knowing there's still a bigger task at hand? Was it enjoy it in the locker room, then right when you leave the locker room, reset, or how'd you guys kind of handle that?
Yeah, I think it helped that we didn't get back home to the hotel until like 12:30, so our only option was to go to sleep. So we weren't up just thinking about what we had done and things like that. But I think, like Coach Bluder said, is like, enjoy this. Like, what you did is special, but at the same time, like, why not win one more? That's what we're here to do, is win another basketball game. And I have all the confidence in this group that we can do that. I mean, it's the national championship. That's not hard to wake up for. It's not hard to give your heart and soul for. And that's exactly what this group's going to do. And that's what we've done all year is, we played 3 back-to-back games against really great teams in the Big Ten tournament. This is our 3rd weekend of basketball in the NCAA tournament. We're ready for this. We've been through challenges. We're prepared.
We're staying to our right-hand side on the front row.
Susan Harmon, hawkfanatic.com. What would you tell a 5-star recruit who maybe wasn't from Iowa? What would you advise as far as considering Iowa? What are the benefits that recruit might find at Iowa?
I mean, I could make you a really, really, really long list. I think the biggest thing is, when you are thinking about a school, I think for me is I didn't want to go somewhere that only just cared about me playing basketball. I was going to go to a school that cared about me as a person. And I think that's lost in today's world. And Coach Bluder, we could have lost in the first round of this tournament, and she was going to love me the exact same way and be there for me for the rest of my life. And to me, that means way more than ever cutting down a championship net or hoisting a trophy, and I truly mean that. And this just comes along with the love we have for one another as being in positions like this. And if you want to play in front of sold-out crowds, if you want to play for a fan base that understands what's happening in women's basketball, you come to the University of Iowa. But I also will say it's not just the University of Iowa. It's Iowa State. It's Drake. It's UNI. Our whole state understands what the game is and what it can be. And, I think that speaks to, the talent level at the high school level and at the AAU level. I played for All Iowa Tech, and a lot of my teammates are now playing for teams in our home state and thriving on those levels. But, I think Coach Bluder's resume speaks for herself. She's a tremendous coach, a tremendous person, and, every single person in our locker room is valued. At the end of the day, I think that's way more important than, ever cutting down a net.
We're going to stay to our right-hand side, the second row. Emma, go ahead.
Caitlin, if you go back to December 1st when you guys lost to NC State, you're 5-3 at that point. Obviously, tough competition. But I think you said after that game, you scored 45, but you only had 10 assists as a team. You guys weren't playing Iowa basketball. Can you talk about both how you and the team have improved from that game? Because the trajectory has just been upward since then.
Yeah. First of all, I think giving our coaches credit for the schedule they created this year. I mean, we played some really tough games at the beginning of the season. NC State, UConn, Oregon State's not an easy team to play. We traveled to Kansas State, lose there. I mean, just a long list of really tremendous teams. And, that's all you can ask is to be put in those situations. And those are the games you want to play in. But like you said, that wasn't Iowa basketball. You can't have 10 assists. That's not going to cut it. And, I think obviously Gabby Marshall was kind of struggling with her shot at that point in the season, but we had all the belief in the world with her, and knew she was going to get going. And I think we just got back to the way we play is, everybody contributing, everybody, working hard on defense. That was not a good game for us. 45 points, but a loss is never too great. And I think we all understood our potential of what we could be. It was just we all had to give more. We had to get back to what we were really good at, and that's sharing the basketball. High assists on high made field goals, and I think that's what you've seen all throughout this tournament.
We're going to stay on our right-hand side, the back row.
Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge. Clearly, I cover LSU, but my timeline last night was a lot about you and obviously your performance. A lot of comparisons to Pete Maravich, and with the ball handling and the shooting, and the shot making. I guess just are you familiar with his game, and what does that kind of compliment mean to you, in today's age?
Yeah, I am familiar with his game. I've seen a lot of his highlights. Obviously, a tremendous compliment. I saw somebody call me like Ponytail Pete or something like that, so I thought that was kind of funny. But I think just a tremendous compliment. And like you said, I like to, I take a lot of pride in being able to do a lot of different things for my team, whether it's scoring, but also, I think the passing can get overlooked at times. Monica has really tremendous hands and makes me look really, really good. But also, you have to pick your poison with this team. Leaving McKenna, leaving Gabby is a mistake. And then obviously Kate Martin, she always just comes through when you need it. And I think, it's a tremendous compliment. I'm very familiar with Pistol Pete. And a lot of people have been saying that since, I was even in high school. So kind of cool compliment.
We're going to move to our left.
Hey, Caitlin, Lindsay with USA Today again. First of all, because you said you printed off a bracket, how's your men's bracket doing? Did you correctly predict any of the Final Four teams?
I actually didn't do a men's bracket this year. But I had the Iowa men in my heart all the way, but it's okay. They had a great season. I'm sure my bracket would have been a disaster on the men's side anyway. So, but it's been fun to watch the men's tournament as well. I have basketball on whenever.
The other thing I was going to ask is you said a second ago that you don't think you've arrived. Coach Bluder doesn't think you've arrived. If you win tomorrow, have you arrived?
No. I'm lucky enough that, I'm only 21 years old. I feel like I have so much left in the tank to give to this game. I think I can get so much better. I did have 8 turnovers last night. That wasn't too great. So I just think there's so many more ways that I can improve. And I truly believe that, I understand I have quite a bit of skill, but there's always so many areas to refine and get better. And, stats never lie. They never do. Film never lies. And I watch a lot of it. We, analyze a lot of stats, especially after the season, and areas you can get better on. Apparently, I guess in today's world, they have a stat about literally every single thing you could ever imagine. What's it like shooting off a screen, a down screen, a cross screen, a flare screen? I mean, so many different stats, which I think is really cool. And Coach Bluder is a huge stat person. So, no, I don't think I will arrive when we win the national championship tomorrow. I have, another year in college and then hopefully, a long professional career as well.
We're going to stay to our left in the back.
Caitlin, Charlie Cream, ESPN.com. This is actually a pretty good segue. You just talked about stats and breaking down film. So what I'd like to know is, what's this Caitlin Clark scouting report on Caitlin Clark?
Well, you just watched Debbie Antonelli's videos that she's been putting on Twitter, because I gave an entire scouting report, and I still do it in the game. But, I'll tell you, but if you just watch my games, not much ever changes. I like to step back going to the left. I think the thing that makes it really hard is we run a read and react offense. You never know what's going to happen. You can't scout that. Like, you can try all you want. You can work on actions, but you never know what we're going to do, because we don't even know what we're going to do. And I think that's the best way to play basketball, is you're just making reads. You're using your brain. And Coach Bluder says, just be a basketball player. Don't be a robot. Be a basketball player. And that's why people like watching Iowa women's basketball, is because we make reads, we have fun, we play up tempo, we want to get out in transition. But I think for me, the area I want to thrive in is always transition. That's why I take pride in getting on the defensive glass and pushing the ball, because I just think it's so hard to guard us, especially with the way our 4s and 5s run the floor, and and Kate and Gabby can spot up for threes. I think it's really, really hard for us. So yeah, I think everybody knows what I'm going to do at this point. It's just, I don't know. That's what I always tell myself, is just be you. That's all you can do.
We're staying to our left, a row ahead.
Caitlin Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. You're obviously the leader of this team, but Coach Jensen was talking last night about how you're also the emotional barometer of this team, and that when you hit those big shots, obviously that can be a huge burst of momentum for your team. But also on the flip side of that, when you get frustrated with calls, or if something's not going well, that sometimes that can seep into the team too. I'm curious, over the last 3 years, how you've sort of evolved in that way and matured in that way to maybe not let that flow into the team as much.
I think that's where my biggest growth has been, honestly, over the past year, is just understanding things aren't going to go my way. Sure, do I get fiery and competitive and still talk to the refs? Absolutely. I'm never going to just completely stop doing that, because I don't think I would be the player I am if I did. But I have teammates that come up to me and calm me down and things like that. But I think my teammates understand, I am fiery, I am competitive, and I think that's what they feed off of, honestly. I think they do, whether good or bad. And I think they've, just had my back through it all. And I'm lucky enough to have teammates like that understand the competitor I am. And I think it rubs off on them, and that's what makes us who we are.
We're staying to our left.
Hey, Caitlin, it's Doug again. Two-part question. Coach said one of the stats she cares most about is high fives and leading the league in them. Where do you rank in the Iowa high five list?
I got to be up there. I got to be up there in the chest bumps too. Yeah, I got to be up there. I don't know. We always talk about that. We always want to, high five, but also just smile. Be happy to be here. We're happy to be here. We love this game. We love one another. And I think if you watch our bench, the girls that never get in the game, they're the most excited people in the world. And I think that speaks to the culture Coach Bluder has built. They know that they're a part of this. They know that they have a role. They know that we wouldn't be here without them, and I truly mean that, because those girls put in a lot of hard work, and they never get to see the floor, and that's such a hard position to be in. It's hard coming from being your star at a high school, and then you come here and you don't even get in the game. So, I think it speaks to the culture that Coach Bluder's built. And, we always talk about, just loving your person to the left and the right of you, and that's going to get this team really far.
And the second part is just, I know in Seattle, you looked at the stat sheet after the triple-double, and it goes 9 turnovers, look. And then the 8 turnovers yesterday. Do you know what you're doing during the game? I mean, you're the first player ever to have back-to-back 40-point games in the NCAA tournament, triple-double, the first one out of the 40. And do you have any clue when you're playing, like, this is where your numbers are during games?
Yeah, I think somewhat. Yeah, I think at times a lot of the turnovers that I have are self-inflicted, which is frustrating for me. But at the same time, you as a good player, you can always feel when you're in the zone a little more. And that's what I've, kind of felt throughout this tournament. And that's what I want to carry into tomorrow is, just stay right there, stay in the zone, be confident in yourself, be confident in your teammates. And, I know they have all the confidence in the world in me. When I miss a few shots, they come up to me, they're like, that looks good. Like, keep shooting it. Like, that's a great shot. And, that's even what Coach Bluder says. When people miss a really great shot, they're not going to be mad. They're going to be happy you shot that. That shows that you believe in yourself. And we always want people to shoot really great shots.
We're staying to our left.
Sue Marriott, Big Ten Network. There's a phrase, with great success comes great responsibility. I think you've seen that very much so. So you and your teammates, there's so much attention and so many pesky media requests from people like us, which thank you for taking them. But are you able to get that downtime, the quiet time, the recharge time, and in those quiet moments, what are those conversations with you and your teammates? What are you saying to each other?
Yeah, I think those are really important times. But also, like all of this and all the media, like I really appreciate you all being here because this is how our game grows. To all the local media that's traveled from the state of Iowa, I really appreciate that as well. And the way you've covered us is certainly incredible and means a lot to this team and our program. So thank you. But also, I think it is very important to take time to yourself and reflect and focus and get off your phone, I think is the biggest thing. And that's something we've really talked about, throughout this whole postseason. So, quiet time is really good, but also I understand I got all the time in the world to sleep after tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm going to give it everything I got, and then I can sleep for 2 weeks.
We're going to stay to our left in the back row.
Clara Sandoval from the Laredo Morning Times. Just talk about playing in the Big Ten and how that's prepared you for this tournament and today.
Yeah, I got to give all the credit in the world to the Big Ten. I truly believe we could have had 3 to 4 teams in the Final Four, and I really believe that. I feel for Indiana. They had a tremendous year, and then have an early exit, and that was us last year. It really stinks. I thought Coach Moore coached those girls incredible all year long. Mackenzie Holmes had one of the best seasons, I've ever seen. So, I thought Indiana was amazing, but also, Ohio State, Maryland, Illinois beat us. Just so many great teams. Purdue gave us a great game to start the Big Ten tournament. I believe it's the best conference in America. I think, we've had the work to show for that. And it's prepared us for this moment. Honestly, it truly has. We've been put in a lot of end-of-game situations, when you're down 2, you're up 2, where you really have to execute and things like that. And you saw that on full display last night, and I think you're going to see that on full display tomorrow, too.
John Steppe, Cedar Rapids Gazette. What was that moment like in the circle yesterday when you got to hold on to Dr. Grant's sweater?
Oh, yeah, that was tremendous. Dr. Grant, I think it's really incredible that we're doing this in the year that's 50-year anniversary of Title IX. 50 years might seem like a long time to a lot of people, but it's really not. It's not that long. And to be able to have an opportunity to play for one of the universities that was at the forefront of women's athletics and, giving women the same opportunity as men and to be able to play a sport in a game you love is pretty incredible. And I know I wasn't one that ever really got to know Dr. Grant too well, just because she was at the end of her life. But, Coach Bluder was, the last coach she ever hired and very close with Coach Bluder. So that she's always passing along things that Dr. Grant taught her. And I'm very grateful for everything Dr. Grant did because I know how proud Dr. Grant is up above of us because she believed we could be in this moment. She believed Coach Bluder could lead us to this moment. So for her to, save something for Coach Bluder when she made her first Final Four, that's very thoughtful and, just an incredible moment.
We're going to shift to our right.
Yeah, Caitlin, Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. 2 parts. What time did you finally get to sleep last night? And when you close your eyes and visualize winning a national championship, what do you see?
Yeah, I think I went to bed like 2:45, but it's always hard to sleep after a win and competing so hard. But I got like 7 hours. I woke up at 9:45, so that's like good sleep for me. And we'll have some downtime later today. And like I said, it's really easy to wake up for a national championship. being tired is not going to be an issue with me. Having bruises is not going to be an issue. Being sore is not going to be an issue for anybody on our team. But yeah, I think visualization is one of the things I always do before games is see yourself where you want to be. I think that's so important. It's something I always talk about with our sports psychologist is visualize greatness. See yourself, hitting game-winning shots. See yourself hoisting a trophy. Because why can't that be you? Because it can.
We're staying to our back and to the right.
Hey, Ben Pickman from The Athletic. Lisa talked about Jan scoring, 66 points in a season on average and 105 in a game. What do you remember, or what do you know about, that 105-point showing? And do you and Coach Jay ever talk trash?
Oh,
or
we
about,
talk trash. Come on now. Yeah. Yeah, Coach Jay, I always give her crap and tell her to, go shoot at practice and stuff. And she did the other day, and she shot this crazy weird hook shot thing that I've never seen in my life. But, yeah, Coach Jay, one of the best, players to ever play in our state as well. She's a legend. She's way more popular than I even am. You should see this woman's phone. It's incredible. But I think the thing about Coach Jay is, people love her to death, but it's because of the person she is. And, she's given up a lot of head coaching opportunities to help this program get where it is. And even, Coach Fitz, those three have been together since their time at Drake. But yeah, I like to talk crap to Coach Jay because she thinks she can score better than me, but she can't.
We're going to move to the front on our left-hand side.
Caitlin Howard Megdal, the next again. You talked about growing up a Lynx fan. I'm wondering if you could talk about that in two ways. If you have specific memories of either seeing them in person or, just what that experience was like. And also just the fact that there was a model franchise, that there was a team with these great players to be able to look up to in the same way that so many young players are looking up to you now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually kind of a crazy story. I've loved the Lynx. And I forget what happened, but my dad, I couldn't go to something. So he's like, all right, I'll take you to the Lynx game instead. So I was like, all right, let's go. So we're road tripping to Minneapolis, and we're in, the hotel. And I think I went swimming before, all by myself with my dad in the hotel pool. And he, called the ticket office, and he's like, I want to bring my daughter to the game. And the guy at the ticket office, no clue who he is or where he is now, but he's like, do you guys want to come, before the game and sit on the court and, see all this stuff? And my dad was like, oh, absolutely. She would love that. He got me a Rebecca Brunson shirt. And Lindsay Whalen came over, Simone Augustus came over, and clearly I don't even know how old I was, but these are vivid memories in my mind. And they were playing the Seattle Storm. So I think it was just, I think that just shows how much I loved the game from a very young age. And I think at the same time that inspired me even more. When I got to go and experience something like that, but also, the arena was packed for the Lynx. They loved the Lynx, but because the Lynx were really, really good, they had dominance there for quite some time. And Lindsay Whalen is one of the best point guards ever to touch a basketball. So I grew up really inspired by that team. And I think, when I was able to go to a game, that only, encouraged that more. I don't. I had to be pretty young. That's probably a question for my dad because he probably remembers.
We'll take our final question to the left.
Hi, Caitlin. Jack Lita with KCRG. I remember a couple months back you said, people need to play with that fire. I play with that fire. And now here we are at the national championship game. Social media is buzzing over the quote-unquote two best trash talkers in the country, you and Angel Reese. I presume you view that actually as a positive thing, not a negative thing, playing with passion. Do you view it as a good thing for this game?
Absolutely. I view, matchups that people get really excited about as a really good thing for this game. I think that's what excites people and gets them to the TV. But when they turn the TV on, they understand it's not an individual game. It wasn't Caitlin versus Leah. We weren't even matched up against each other at all. It's not going to be Caitlin versus Angel. That's not what's going to win a national championship. But that's what gets them excited about watching the game. So I think more than anything, people are starting to understand women can play with, excitement and a passion and a fire about themselves. And, that's what's fun. That's what people want to see. But you leave it on the court. When you step off the court, you're friends, you support one another, you love the game, you love getting to watch them. I've loved watching LSU this year. They've been tremendous, and what Kim Mulkey's been able to build there in her short time is, nothing short of remarkable. So I have all the respect in the world for them, and I think it's going to be a tremendous game.
Thank you, Caitlin. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. I know. My teammates are trying to get me to get them backstage passes. I'm like, I don't have connections like that.
roster sheets for the? Do you want roster sheets?
I have one for
D2 and D3 games.
I'll pull one for D3. So I don't know who's coming yet, but